Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Psycho, and I know that Michonne shippers are gonna go crazy after tonight's episode. I'm sort of happy about this as well, considering all of the chemistry that Michonne has with Rick and Karl. But first, let's get into the beginning of this episode before I discuss any of that. I just want to say that I really loved this episode overall. Just the vibe of it and everything about it. It had one of those feel-good episode aspects to it. And it was one of those episodes where you could just take a breather, relax, and have a little enjoyment and comedy out of it. And I know they had been hyping this up as probably one of the most comedic episodes that's ever been on the show, but I actually loved the direction they took it with this. Even from the very beginning, we saw this teaser last week, but we saw the part where Eugene is talking about sorghum, and he's like, yeah, that's the honky donkey right there. And I just love the way that Daryl looked at Eugene right after that, because you can tell he's just thinking, man, you are one weird mother effer. I just loved the interaction between Daryl and Rick. It was just one of those things, it was like two guys on the road having some good times, but they're also getting some stuff done. And I loved it, man. And the icing on the cake was when Rick put that CD in and Daryl's just like, don't do it. And then he put it in, and you can tell that Daryl's pretending that it's not funny, but you know it's funny to him deep down, and Rick as well. But I do want to mention, I loved the intro. The More Than a Feeling song, Boston, I think, sings that. And it's just such a good vibe at the beginning. You see everybody, it's a time skip, but you see everybody having a good time. Rick's making his belt. Michonne's coming through there. You hear Karl bouncing a ball off the wall. And then we see Judith on the carpet playing. That was just such a good vibe right there. And I loved it. It was one of those intros that really makes you feel good about the episode and what's coming. And it also sort of makes you wonder, what could happen that's bad? Because usually when we get a relief like this, something bad is going to happen. And that is actually a good point. I remember when we first got to Alexandria, everything was good. We started getting some development, and then it got bad with No Way Out. And I think it is foreshadowing things getting bad with Negan, but that is just my opinion. I know that it's going to get worse. And I remember the creators talking about the show going in a light direction at first, for example, like this episode, but then it hitting a more darker direction later on, and I think that is going to be with Negan. I also want to mention this. Throughout the beginning of the episode, and even the end when Daryl mentions it, Rick talks about the law of averages. And basically what the law of averages means is that it's the principle that supposes most future events are likely to balance any past deviation from a presumed average. So basically what that means is that all of the bad things that they have gone through within No Way Out, it's basically going to pay off in this episode. They're going to hit sort of a gold mine of supplies, and it's going to pay off and even things out. As we can see, it didn't really work out like that. I know Daryl said something like, screw the law of averages or bullshit or something like that. But it was not as bad as it could have been for the group. So it wasn't really balanced, but it's still not that bad because there could have been some bad things that could have happened, but they didn't. So it's not completely evened out, but you know what I mean. There was just a lot of light comedic elements in this, and I actually really loved it because it showed the interaction between Daryl and Rick, and they didn't have to be serious the whole episode, even with points where they were sort of serious, like when Jesus stole their van, and it leaves back that cooler or whatever with a pop in it, and they just start drinking out of that Crush can, and I just thought that was sort of funny because they were just passing it back and forth, taking a Crush break, and then all of a sudden they start running again, and I thought that was kind of funny. Now, before I get too ahead of myself, I do want to talk about Jesus' intro. I absolutely loved this intro. It was like the best way they could have ever done it. It was just so great. His character is one of my favorites so far. Even though I've just seen a little bit of him, I absolutely love this character. I can tell that he's going to be one of the characters that I am really going to like on the show. I'm talking about characters in the Rick / Daryl / Abraham area where I really enjoy them. His intro was just so well done in my opinion, especially when he says, "Some people call me Jesus," and he takes down his face masks, and you can just really see why they call him that, and it was actually a really good scene where they zoomed in on his face, and I think they did a very great transition with this character from the comics to the TV show. The actor does a fantastic job. He is good at playing a clever character, and it's just really awesome to see that transition to TV. And the interesting thing about this is we do see a struggle throughout the episode, but you don't really take Jesus as a character that is actually going to endanger Rick or Daryl. You know that he's sort of clever and sneaky, but you don't really assume that he's going to try and kill them. Even like Rick mentioned, he asked Daryl if he even tried to use a weapon against him, and Daryl was like, I guess not, no. And that's when they decided to take him back to Alexandria. But it just shows that they were never really in that much danger. It was awesome to see him go at Daryl and Rick, where he slams Daryl against the vehicle and he like knocks Rick down, he kicks him, I think. That was a really cool scene just to see him use a little bit of those moves that he has, and I just really loved that in my opinion. Not to mention the absolutely epic scene where he's like, do you guys even have any ammo? And they both just take their pistols, zoom in on the zombie, and pop him with their bullets at the same time. That was so well done. Daryl was really funny in this episode. It's just the small things, like when he flips him off through the mirror. I thought that was pretty funny. And then we have another part that I will discuss later on. I don't want to jump to that really quick, so I'm just going to transition to talking about Michonne and her experience with Spencer. I know some people may not feel that this was very important for this episode and that they didn't really need to show it, but I actually felt that it was needed, and I know some people will agree with me on this subject, because Spencer does have to get some closure. We do know that Spencer is having his struggles, his inner struggles, and when I saw the shovel on his back, I knew exactly what he was trying to do. He was trying to find Deanna. And I can definitely understand this. All of your family is gone, and you want to go and find your mother just so you can bury her and give that peace. And sort of satisfying yourself by giving something closure. You don't want to be wondering whether your mom is wandering around as a walker and eating other people, and you just want to end it and make sure it stops there. I really like seeing Michonne assist him in this as well, and it adds a more likable aspect to Michonne. Even though we already love Michonne a ton, it just adds more to her character and shows that she really cares about everyone. She does really try to put up this understanding to where she knows what Spencer's going through. She knows how he feels, and she wants him to know that she knows. It was also pretty nice to see some Maggie and Enid interaction, and basically where she says, you're not nowhere, you have family here, and if you need anyone to talk to, come to me. And I like that because it added that connection, and you can already assume that she said thank you for saving Glenn and for saving her, so you know that she has that respect for her, and she wants her to know that she can be this figure in her life to where she can talk to her about anything or the problems that she has. Next, we had the interaction with Karl and Enid. Now, you can definitely tell that Karl is still changing as a character. He's still evolving, and I'm liking the direction he's going in. He's starting to become a lot more mature, and one of the things I do want to talk about is where he led Deanna to Michonne. And I'm not really sure about this, but I'm thinking that he led Deanna to Michonne and Spencer, but then he left because he wanted them to find it on their own, and he didn't want them to think that Karl led her there. Now, I may be wrong, but this could be where Karl is developing maturity even more to where he presents the problem to them, but he goes away to let them solve it themselves. I gained a ton of respect for Karl because of this, because just put yourself in that situation. You would want somebody to do that for you as well. Moving back over to the Jesus situation, I really just love this character so much overall. He's clever, especially where he used the firecrackers to steal their stuff, and you didn't even expect him to take Rick's keys, but that's why he bumped into him at first and pretended like it was an accident. I like how they worked that situation because you didn't think that was what he was trying to do at that moment. Now, after they tied him up, I figured there was some way that he was going to follow them back. I didn't know if he was going to be riding on the back of the bumper, but then where it showed the scene where you couldn't see the bumper, I was like, whoa now. I wasn't really sure how he was going to get back with him, but then we noticed that he was on the roof. And it was sort of cool to see that chase with Rick driving the truck, and then Daryl chasing Jesus himself. It was sort of comedic, but also very interesting, because you get to see Jesus' moves. He's trying to juke out Daryl, and that was cool as well. And then they finally meet up where Jesus goes in the vehicle and Daryl sort of gets him, and then Jesus sees the zombie coming. And this is the question of morality. This is what the audiences were all wanting to know. Was he going to tell Daryl about the walker? Now, a lot of non-comic readers probably didn't know what he was going to do. But personally, I expected him to tell him to duck, or he was going to save him, and I just really loved that moment. It was like whether Daryl admitted it or not, he gained respect for Jesus because he saved his life and because he gave him that chance. But it was funny when you did see Daryl just say, "No one takes my gun," and punches him right in the face. That was pretty funny. I mean, I sort of laughed out loud when I saw that scene. I like that a lot. And one thing I do want to mention is that I have been reading a bunch of articles about the show, and one thing they have been saying is that Merle would be proud of Daryl right now because he's going to be making some moves that Merle would do. And I actually see this in Daryl within this past episode, and that's where he punches Jesus in the face even after he saves him. It's like he sort of has this spiteful attitude, even though we do know that Daryl is an awesome character and he has his inner struggles, so it's interesting to see that sort of Merle side go to him. Finally, we get to see the scene where they decide to take Jesus back, and it was funny to see Daryl sort of nudging off Jesus and then finally just shoving him to the other side of the car. I thought that was funny as well. But one thing I do want to mention is the significant change with Rick in this episode, and I really did like this, and I'm surprised that I like this because I love hardcore Rick, and when he sort of starts becoming, a little lenient on people and new survivors, it's a little like half and half because it's nice to see Rick gaining this humanity back and spending time and laughing with all of his friends and family. But then again, you worry because you know who is on the horizon and you know the threats that they might have to face. However, I do think he has a good balance right now. He did read Jesus pretty well. He knew that Jesus wasn't actually trying to kill them, and he could tell the difference in whether he was bad or good. Moving on to the final scene, we had the scene with Karl and Michonne where she asks Karl why he did this, and he states that he would do that for her, and then she realizes he was doing the right thing, and it was all of good intentions, not just to risk his life, but he wanted to give Spencer some closure. After that, we get the scene with Rick and Michonne. Now, the Michonne shippers are gonna go crazy. I bet they're going insane on social media right now, and I don't blame them. You do have to realize Michonne and Rick have gone through some crazy things, and it's really nice to see them together because they have a ton of chemistry when you think about it. Even back on the railroad tracks on the way to Terminus, her and Karl had a lot of development between each other, and she treats Karl like he's her own son and watches out for them. And you can definitely tell that she really, really cares about these two characters. And it's nice to finally see them get some development in this area. Now, one thing this does sort of make me worry about is with the upcoming Negan situation. Are they trying to make us like Michonne even more just to shoot us down by killing her off in the finale? That's the question. Now, I hadn't ever thought about this before, but now that this new plot arc has came up, it makes me wonder whether this is going to be dealt with like this. As always, this is pretty much going to be the end of my review. I really do appreciate all of you all watching. I absolutely love this episode. It was sort of that light, comedic, and also good vibed episode. And I do want to mention that Jesus, the actor that plays Jesus, did a fantastic job. I love the character so much overall, and I can tell that he is going to be one of my new favorites just because of the clever and sort of cocky attitude, but he's also good at fighting, and I really like that as well. So I really do appreciate you all watching. Please leave a like if you did enjoy this video because it takes a lot of work to do these reviews and put everything together, so I really would appreciate that. And if you want to subscribe to my second channel, I'm not sure if I told everybody about this or if everyone heard about it, but I will link it down below. It is your boy Psycho 2, and I just have that as a backup channel just in case. And make sure to subscribe to this one as well if you haven't already. I post Walking Dead content every weekend, even after the season has ended, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. As always, I really do appreciate you all watching, and stay tuned for this week for newer videos and reviews. As always, thanks again. Peace out.